In the previous lesson, we saw how we can model architectural elements in our project, like walls, internal walls or external walls, pillars, and also floors. And also we saw how we can create voids in order to place stairs, and so how to create empty space in walls and in the floors. So basically we are seeing how we can do a little bit of 3D modeling, and also we are trying to replicate what we find in BIM, so building information modeling tools, so creation of walls and the creation of floors. And in this video, we're going to focus on another part, which is really important, which is the creation of doors and windows, and also curtain walls. So we will talk about fixtures and how we can create them similarly to what we see in building information modeling here in Blender, using again different tools and techniques, different add-ons. So you can see here, and also we will see how we can create our own fixtures in Blender using the standard polygonal modeling, so edit mode essentially, and the editing tools. Now you can see in this part of the scene, I've used parametric modeling, and I've created all these. This is a wall, this is a floor, this is a double door, and this is an example of window. Now I created all of these using ArchiMesh. Now ArchiMesh is a tool that we can use in Blender, and it's already built in. It's an add-on actually, so we're gonna go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons. We already introduced the add-ons at the beginning of this video course, but right now we're gonna focus a little bit more on ArchiMesh. So you can see it's already right here, depending on the version that you have in Blender. You probably, if you don't see it, you probably have an older version, but right now it's available, so I just need to activate it, and I will find all the tools in the sidebar. So if I move here on the sidebar on the right, and I look for the Create tab, so if you scroll all the tab up and down, if you go into Create, you can see right here you have ArchiMesh. And then you can generate different things with ArchiMesh. You can generate rooms, which means you can create walls, and then if you want also floors and roofs. And then you can insert columns. These are columns that I've inserted using ArchiMesh, and also arcs. And then you can insert doors, windows, different types of windows, and other stuff that we're going to see later. In this video, again, we're going to focus on doors and windows and fixtures, but we will also check out the ArchiMesh add-on a little bit more. Now, before we start, there is one thing we need to consider, and that is the position of the 3D cursor, which is this little aim right here. And if you follow the base of Blender video course, you will know probably how you can use it and how you can place it. Now, this is important because this is where your objects are going to be created. So I need to move this 3D cursor in a position where I can use it and I don't overlap with other things. So I'm going to move it right here. Now you can snap this 3D cursor if you want. You can use it here in the top view and snap it to a card reference if you have it. Otherwise, you can go here in the View tab in the right side bar, and here you will find the exact location. So if I want it in the origin of the world, I can say 0, 0, 0. So it's going to go back here where you have your axis. Otherwise, we can move it just a little bit. I'm just going to move it aside here, but you can place it in a really precise position if you want. So let's do like minus 30 meters and 10 meters up like this. Okay, so here is where we will start to create our architecture, and in this case it will be more like an interior architecture, but it can be used also for exterior, so it can be like both interior and exterior. So let's go back to Create tab and let's start to create something. So I'm going to create a room. There you go. So the first thing is going to appear is this like piece of wall. Now let's do View and Frame Selected, so we get really close and we can see what's going on right here. Now this is a really thin wall, and by the way, you can see the 3D cursor now is still on. So let's move into the Move tool instead of staying in the 3D cursor. And let's leave it right there for the moment. Now, you can see this is a really thin wall. How we can fix this? It's really easy. We need to go down and we need to find here the room tab. So this is where you can define the height. So let's make it 3 meters high. And then the thickness, which is now at 0. So it doesn't have thickness. So let's make this 0.3, which means 30 centimeters, and is usually the average thickness of an external wall. And you can see down here we also have a baseboard, but we can turn this on and off, and we can also turn on and off a wall cover, which is going to cover your wall with these elements, which could be like wood, planks, or whatever you want them to be. Now you can, let's deactivate this. You can of course arrange also the size of the baseboard, so we can make it a little bit thick. Well, now probably it's too thick, but just to show you. And then also the height. So if you want to do like some wall covering in wood, or with some sort of panels, you can make it like higher, like 0.3, so 30 centimeters or 90 centimeters. So this could be like a boiserie or something. And remember that everything you create with ArchiMesh is just a simple mesh. So you can continue to edit this going into edit mode. Now it's also interesting to see what's happening here in the outliner. So if I press the dot in the numpad, it's gonna bring me here where I created my room. So you can see it's calling this room 001 because I already created another one. And if I expand this, you can see that it contains other stuff. Now you can see I've also created a collection for this, which is pretty handy. So I'm gonna go with the right click and create, well, I cannot do it right here. I need to go here and do new collection. So let's call these ArchiMesh collection 2. Okay, so this is where I'm gonna bring everything that I'm creating. So if I click and drag this, now I can work with this collection and maintain everything organized, so I can manage everything. Now you can see in the room we have room 001, and then here in the modifiers we are using Solidify essentially, and then we have baseboard. So I can access the baseboard also from here, and I can edit this, but I can do everything from room, and I can work with this panel right here. Now I can also do an inverse of the room, but then I would probably need to change the baseboard, and sometimes you just need to turn this off, like inverse, and then turn that on. But it's a kind of experimental tool, so sometimes things they don't go exactly your way, but again, you can then fix it, adjust it with the polygon modeling. Now, what I want to do, it's also apply a wall cover. Now, also with wall cover, you have height, so you can change the number of panels. Now, these are really big panels right here. And then also the thickness. So let's make it like 0.1. So they are almost now exactly there. And if you say 0, they're gonna be like perfectly on this face. Now make sure there is no flickering, just as we saw in the previous video, otherwise you need to fix it. Now we can also work with this top. So basically here, if I say 0.5, it's gonna go like halfway from the top, or we can do the other way, we can do halfway from the bottom. There you go. So this could become something like that is not covering the entire wall, but only partially. Otherwise, it could also cover everything like this. So this could be only in the external side or only in the internal side, depending. Now I'm going to leave it this as it is, and also want to change the height here back to something smaller like this. So this is a really small wall, so we make it bigger. Now you can see here we have a length. So if I say that I want this to be like 10 meters, I can place here the 10 number, and then this is gonna become 10 meters wall. And then I can continue. So how do I create the entire room? I need to apply more walls. So if I go here to number of walls, I can say 2. And then I can continue